Okay,
Okay.
you're on. Now I'm about to share, so let's apologise. Not that anyone will be watching yet.
Okay, everyone.
If they were.
Cause it's a completely different link now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just tweeting it.
Okay.
Have you seen my link?
Okay, here we go.
I'm going to run the sting again. Shall I do that? No.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Why not? No, I can't, because I have to rewind it. Okay, let's just waffle. So...
Okay, everyone, we're
where
back.
If we
Sorry
just
about
turned
these.
on now.
Sorry about these technical issues. We got election. We got results coming in. Don't ignore this for the moment. We got results coming in. The backroom team here are flat out trying to maintain connection with you guys in the outside world. Connection with the broadband. Listen, I would say this, guys. In 5 years' time, we are going to be kicking some serious ass here. I got to say. Now.
Will you retweet the link?
Yeah, I've retweeted the link.
Sorry the link keeps changing.
Sorry the link keeps
follow on Twitter, that's the best.
Sorry, yeah, if you follow on Twitter, that is the best thing. Let me see, let me just check that has been retweeted, that link. Right, now we got a very interesting interview coming up next. Here we go.
Central Council.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
We've got you. We have got you there. Where are you now? That looks exciting.
Oh, it's not very exciting. I'm at Lee Valley Athletic Centre in Edmonton.
That is Lee Valley. The Lee Valley Water Park is the best place I've ever been. It's so cool.
Oh well, I know what I can't say I've been there, but
Okay.
no, it's just sausages and counting here.
Sausages and counting. How's the count looking? Who's got who? What's the buzz in the room?
The buzz in the room, it's actually, I mean, it's a little bit sober, I would say. I mean, a lot of the candidates are here. I've seen Nick Dubois, I've seen David Burrows. I haven't seen Joan Ryan yet, but I believe she's here. And I think they're just they're getting through things very slow and steady. I think we're going to have an early result here, maybe around 3 o'clock. And a lot of the rumblings that I've heard is that Labour were hoping that Joan Ryan would win it back. But I don't think that's going to happen. That's what they're saying here.
Okay, now let's just, for the audience purposes, let's why are you there and what are you doing? Who are you there representing today?
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Pears. I'm the news editor of The Voice. This is a really important seat for us. We're here to see the outcome of the Edmonton election. And now, for those who don't know, the incumbent MP, Andy Love, has stepped down at the general election. And in his place, they have a candidate called Kate Osamor. There's a little bit of an interesting backstory there, because in the 80s...
Can I interrupt? Kate Osamor is Labour, right?
She's Labour. She's a Labour hopeful. She's a hardcore trade unionist as well. I think her current job, she's the manager of a GP practice. She hasn't been in politics at the forefront for a very long time, although she comes from a rich tradition of campaigning. And just to get back, they're just announcing they're counting Hazelbury wards, so they're getting through here. But Kate Osamor, her mother is quite a famous campaigner called Martha Osamor, and she was going to get selected for a seat in Vauxhall in, I think, 1987. But there was a little bit of an upset, and I think the then leader of the Labour Party, Neil Kinnock, I think he parachuted somebody else into the seat. So today, if Kate does get elected and Edmonton is a safe Labour seat, we're going to see a little bit of a nice a completion of a circle, I would say, and a little bit of history being made. Martha Osamor, I can actually see her in the distance now. If I turn around, you might be able to see her behind my head. Maybe that's a bit ambitious, but for her mother to watch her get elected will be quite an electrifying moment, I think.
That is indeed electrifying. Now, why are you, as the political editor of The Voice, why are you there in particular? Why this constituency?
Well, like I said, for us, it's almost likely that Kate will get elected, and for us to be able to say that there's another black woman entering Parliament, that's a big deal for us. It's a big deal for the Labour Party, because a lot of black voters believe that, African Caribbean voters in Britain, they traditionally vote for the Labour Party, but they haven't seen quite the level of representation that they would like. So to be able to see somebody get elected, especially, like I said, the history of Kate Osamor and Martha Osamor, that's going to be a very big deal. So it's a big deal for our readers, it's a big deal for our newspaper.
What do you feel in terms of if it can be said, there are black and West Indian and African campaigning issues in this campaign. How do you think they've been addressed? How do you think they've been dealt with? Have they had the profile that you think they need?
Well, this has been it's been a really big election for that, actually. And, what we've also seen, I mean, looking at the national picture, we've got that early exit poll. We've seen the Conservative Party doing quite well. And one of the things that they knew has the power, I think, where the black vote is larger than the sitting majority and the majority of the sitting MP. So, black people had a huge amount of sway in this election, and that's what we're telling people. And I think, we want to see the Conservatives have responded well. They've selected the most ethnic minority MPs that they ever have in their history. We're going to see a lot of faces in this election, and that's one of the battles won.
Do you think that the black vote, as you say, overwhelmingly at the moment leans towards Labour? Do you think in your lifetime, the next 10...
Run on Periscope, because this is really good.
Absolutely.
Okay, wait, I'm going to interrupt you there. We're going to put this on Periscope because it's so good. Hang on a second. Here we go. Okay. We're going on Periscope, so bear with me.
I don't know what Periscope means, but I'm excited.
It's very exciting. This is a big moment for everybody here. It's your first ever Periscope. Okay, here we go. More election live. Okay, so when we come to Periscope, could you introduce yourself again? That'd be great. I'll tell you when to go. Here we go. Okay, oopsie daisy. That's not good for us. If you just lift it up, my car. Hello, Periscope. How you doing? We're back. We're back with the Unelection here. It's just that it's covering the front
Unelection.
camera. And that's perfect. That's perfect there. And we've got a very interesting guest in the Unelection studio, or down the line here. And you can follow us online at unelection.co.uk. We've got a YouTube feed there. We're just running it all. But there you go. We can see our guest here. She is a key count in East London. Now, tell us all about yourself.
Hello, hi, my name is Elizabeth Pears. I'm the news editor of The Voice. For those who don't know The Voice, we're Britain's biggest selling black newspaper. So we cater to the African and Caribbean community in Britain and Ireland.
Now, just before we came on Periscope, we were discussing the fact that you said that the Conservative Party have chosen the highest number of black and ethnic minority candidates ever in their history. Do you think, will that black vote, which has tended to lean towards Labour, do you think we'll ever see that swinging and going to the Conservatives, going to other parties?
Absolutely, and we're seeing it already in this election. I mean, there's something that really sticks out in our mind because we've really focused on this and we've actually really pushed it as a newspaper. We said to our readers, we don't care where you vote, just make sure that you vote. And black people, they're no longer a homogenous group. They're no longer so closely aligned with Labour, although a significant number of them do still vote for the Labour Party. But we've seen that people are keen to shop around. They're looking at the policies of the Conservatives, they're looking at the policies of the Lib Dems and the Green Party. And in this election, the Conservatives knew they wanted to get a majority, they wanted to get ahead. They really needed to secure the black vote. We've already seen over the past couple of years, we've seen Theresa May, the Home Secretary, tackle Stop and Search. We've seen her make an effort to put black mental health on the agenda. Last week, I sat down with David Cameron myself and I said to him, look, a lot of our readers are thinking about voting Conservative. It's not something that they're comfortable with, but what can you do to assure them? And he has laid out a raft of measures to say, well, if you give us your vote, if you trust us, this is what we can do for you. And it's a little bit about putting equality, racial equality on the agenda. He talked a lot about, the civil service and increasing jobs there. And a lot of the work that they've done on education, getting a lot of young black graduates from university, I'll say students, into university, and now they're talking about getting them university. So that has impressed some of our readers. We've got a reporter down in Croydon Central. It's a very tight race between Labour and the Conservatives. Garen Barwell really wants to win that seat, and it'll be interesting. And we did some polling outside. We did some interviews outside the polling stations, and there was a woman there, black woman, and she said, you know what, for consistency, I will be voting Conservative again. So I think that, looking at the exit poll, I think a lot of the votes that are going to be putting the Conservatives in the lead, if that's the way it pans out, will be down to black voters.
So we have the political editor of The Voice, Britain's leading black newspaper magazine. You are there because you're in the Lee Valley. Why? Because there's about to be a historic victory, we think, by a
Yeah.
black woman.
Yeah, I mean,
How many black women do we have in Parliament here?
At the moment, I'll tell you, I'll reel them off. We've got Diane Abbott, the stalwart. She's been there from the very beginning. We had Dawn Butler. She lost her seat in 2010 to Sarah Tether. She's fighting to get back in this election, and things are looking quite well for her over in Brent Central. In the Conservative Party, they elected their first black woman MP. That's Helen Grant. Currently, was the sports minister up until the election, Parliament dissolved. And also there's Chion Wura in Newcastle. That's another Labour candidate. So we're seeing more black women. But tonight, I think for The Voice, the big story will be seeing Kate Osamor get elected in Edmonton. Edmonton is a safe Labour seat. The former MP Andy Love has stepped down, paving the way for Kate Osamor to take victory. I can't imagine an upset here, so it will be quite historic. And for those who might not, who don't know the story, Kate Osamor, her mother, Martha Osamor, was a big player in the Labour Party in the 80s. She was the deputy chair of the black section, and their whole sort of, raison d'etre was to get more black people into Parliament. Now, she was so close to getting selected for Kate Hoey's seat in Vauxhall, and there was a little bit of an upset at the last minute, and Kate Hoey got parachuted in, and Martha Osamor kind of got, sidelined. So tonight, 3 or so decades later, Martha Osamor, she's actually standing behind me somewhere over there, for her to see her daughter get elected, and for some people, I think, within the party, to see a wrong get put right. It's going to be a big moment. It's definitely one of the stories that The Voice is going to be following closely.
Thank you very much. Right, you've done your first Periscope. Everyone thinks you're great. Thank you.
No problem. Keep going.
Last question. We got one more question.
To the count, just what's it like to be?
What's it like being at the count? What's it like? Yeah, show us around a bit if you want. What's the buzz like down there?
Well, I mean, right behind me, we've got the media packs. Everyone's got their cameras waiting for something to happen. And if I walk a little bit further over here, if you look behind me, you'll see the guys in the orange T-shirts. They're doing the counts over there. So they've got all the wards, and over in Enfield, they've also got a by-election in the Jubilee ward, and that's going to be called quite soon, I think. So that's basically it. And I can't be bothered to walk around the corner, but they are serving sausages and things like that, just to keep everyone's morals up and stomach full.
It's almost 2 a.m. You deserve a sausage. Go and have a sausage. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for showing us around the count.
All right, bye.
And all the best tonight. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks a lot, Peter. Bye.
There we go. Thank you very much. On Periscope, everyone, we're back on YouTube. Go to unelection.co.uk. Follow @unelection on Twitter.
Twitter's the best.
You'll see our YouTube feed. We are going to be here. Ignore this. This is slightly out of date now, but don't worry. We will be here for a few hours to come. We're going to be working out what's going on in this campaign. See you later.
So the hardcore with us on YouTube. Let's update the election results because they all disagree slightly, don't they? So what?
Right, let's get back to some results here,
Top
team.
What do we think the results are? Let's see. So, Guardian are calling it as
Labour's got 6 seats, according to the Guardian.
6-2, according to the Guardian.
6-2. Yeah, well, I don't know. Let's see.
6-2.
Just to let you know, Will Brett from the Electoral Reform Society is just getting his Skype set up.
Great.
So he said.
So soon we're going to be talking electoral reform.
We're going to be talking electoral reform here.
A subject close to your heart, Dan?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of electoral reform. I'm the am I the president of the Electoral Reform Society? No, I'm the ambassador or something like that. I'm the ambassador of it, for it. I'm just checking here what's going on. We got a lot of chat coming out of Scotland. The SNP do seem to be on course to win a lot of those seats. Al Murray standing in East Thanet, South Thanet. We were hoping to talk to him. He's a mate of mine. We may get him on the Skype later on as well. Okay. In fact, they want to Skype in. So is someone Skyping in now?
Well, we're just waiting for Will.
Conservative hold Wandsworth. I don't know if you
Conservatives hold Wandsworth. That's not hugely surprising, that one. But that's interesting. Another South London seat going for the Conservatives. People predict before, of course, the election predicting big Labour big Labour support in London, so it's interesting some of these Conservative seats holding on.
Tooting is still a Labour hold.
Tooting Labour hold, not a huge surprise there either. South London seat. And we're just waiting for Will now from the Electoral Reform Society. It's going to be, we're going to get a lot of, this is going to be interesting, this one. It's going to be very interesting. I'm going to put this on Twitter, I'm going to put this on Periscope as well. In the meantime...
Should we go to Periscope and get some questions?
Yeah, there weren't a huge number of questions last time on Periscope.
Only the hardcore thing. But we should do a heads up that soon we're going to do a specific Q&A.
Yeah, there is going to be a specific Q&A. If you've got any questions, please send them via Twitter to us. And we're going to be talking about electoral reform next, which is a really, really important and interesting subject. And it is going to become a massive issue. Is it right that a party in Scotland are able to win nearly every single seat with around 50%, around half the vote? That does seem extraordinary. But here we go.
Well, while we're waiting, let's watch another of our great...
Yeah, we're going to watch another video we like, which has been trending this week.
This is about tactical voting.
This one's about tactical voting. Check it out.
Hold on, I'm not that quick.
David Cameron will often tell you that if you vote UKIP, you'll get Labour. What? We have, in Britain, a first-past-the-post voting system. It seems simple enough. Whoever gets the most votes wins. What's wrong with that? I'll tell you what's wrong with that. The spoiler effect. This is the fictional constituency of Little Upper Chipping Stortford-on-the-Minns. There are just two candidates. One from the Stripey Party, one from the Spotty Party. As you can see, the Spotty Party is more popular. But what happens if you introduce a third candidate from the very Spotty Party? The Spotty vote is split, and the Stripey Party, despite making more people unhappy, wins the election. That's the spoiler effect, and that's not fair. That's why people vote tactically. They know which parties will do well, and they take this into account.
I like the very Spotty Party the best, but they won't win. But the Spotty Party are quite nice, and they've got a good chance. So I'll vote for the Spotty Party instead of the very Spotty Party.
I like the extremely Stripey Party the best, but they have no chance of winning this seat. But I really can't stand the Spotty Party, and I hate the thought of a spotty government. So I'll have to vote for the Stripey Party instead, whom I hate.
I usually vote for the Stripey Party to keep the Spotty Party out. But I've just moved here, and as this is a really safe Spotty seat, I might as well vote how I really feel, which is flowers.
That's how we've ended up with the two-party system. It isn't actually in the rules that two parties need to be bigger than everyone else, or that only two parties get taken seriously by the media, but that's just how it happens all by itself. It's just maths. Maths. And as the opinion of the general population changes, so too do the policies of the two big parties. And in general, inevitably, in the long term, they perform about as well as each other. Some people like this. They say it gives us strong governments who get things done.
I say it gives us strong governments who get things done.
But others say that it's not fair. We're only reduced to tactical voting because we can't vote how we really feel. So what are the alternatives? There's single transferable vote, the alternative vote, proportional representation, cumulative vote, limited vote. Why don't we switch to one of those? Well, we almost did. In 2011, we had a referendum on whether to switch to the alternative vote, or AV. In this system, instead of voting for just one candidate, you rank them 1, 2, 3. This means people can vote for who they ideally want to win first, and then put their safe choice second. It means a fairer result for everyone. But surprise, 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 both the big parties tried to make AV look really scary. Which is ironic really, because David Cameron, one of the most vocal opponents of electoral reform, was voted leader of the Conservative Party under a system just like AV, and if they'd used first past the post, his Silver Fox rival David Davis would have won instead. Anyway, their scaremongering worked. 68% of us voted to keep first past the post. It means that for the foreseeable future, this is how we'll be voting. Tactically. Not necessarily for the party we like best, but for the party with the best chance of winning that we least don't unhate the most. Can you really blame the big party politicians for doing their best to preserve the status quo and keep the system that's allowed them to stay in power for hundreds of years? Yes.
Conservative hold in which one, Battersea, was quite significant. There's been a small swing to the Conservative there. Gotta say, those exit polls are looking pretty accurate at the moment. That implies big headlines. Conservatives look like they're going to form the next government, albeit with a minority government. Liberal Democrats wiped out, and in Scotland, the SNP surge has definitely happened. There you go. That is actually correct. No change of hands. So but there's an avalanche of seats about to come now. If the Lib Dems go down to 10, can they come back? Yes, they can come back. People have been cut to the bone before and bounced back. You may find that once they go back into opposition and they're able to appeal, be all things to all men, as parties in opposition do, they may attract some of those voters back. And
yes, sorry, quite right. My fault.
The mic was down.
Late.
Hello, everybody.
Start again.
It's getting
Where
late. It was getting late. So, we've just had the Liberal Democrats lose another deposit, fifth deposit. We've had the Conservatives with a very slightly increased their majority. We've seen a swing from Labour to the Conservatives in Battersea. It looks to me like those exit poll might have been correct. That means we're basically, headlines, we're going to have a Conservative government. It's going to be a minority, but they're going to have a Conservative government. The Liberal Democrats are going to get wiped out, and the SNP north of the border in Scotland are going to sweep the board. So, interesting times ahead. We're going to have European referendums. We're going to have constitutional crises. We're going to have all sorts. It's going to be totally fascinating. But worry not. Unelection team will be here to guide you through this dark maze of uncertainty. And I know that you need us. What else we got, team? Who we got coming up? We got Al Murray coming up, hopefully, talking to us from South Thanet, pub landlord. We are trying to get hold of some people from the electoral reform group. I noticed that we've got, for example, another result just coming in Wrexham, which is a Labour hold, but it has exactly confirmed the findings of the exit poll. So a lot of evidence is coming in now. The exit poll is correct. Don't go to bed, though, because other stuff might happen. You never know.
So we are.
Who have we got?
Hello.
So this is Loz K of the Pirate Party.
Loz K of the Pirate Party. Loz, what's going on? Where are you?
Well, I'm at the Count at Manchester, and it's we're in the Manchester Velodrome. Weirdly enough.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it is actually. Where the Count is set up in the middle of the Velodrome track, and so we're sort of basically we've had most of the ballots through verified, so we're just waiting for the next stage now.
You got video?
How are you? Do you have video? Can you turn on the video on your phone at all? If you can't, that's no problem. But if you had it, it'd be good to see you. Are you dressed like a? Oh, there we are.
All right.
There we go.
There we go.
Now, what is going on with the Pirate Party? What are you standing for in this election?
So, well, the big things that we stand for is actually an accessible type of democracy. We've been running on the UK's first crowdsourced manifesto. But originally, we grew up in Sweden, and we've become an international movement. We very much stand for civil liberties, for internet freedom, but also, bringing power back to the people is essentially what we're about.
Great stuff. And you do very well in Germany, I think, don't you, as well?
Yes, exactly. We've got a German MEP at the moment and representation throughout the country. But also recently, Iceland's been very good for us. We've got Icelandic MPs, and now we're actually topping the polls in Iceland. So there's certainly inspiration to be taken there from the rest of the international movement.
Jeepers creepers, that's extraordinary, topping the poll in Iceland. What is behind the name Pirate Party? Why did you choose that?
Well, where it came from initially was internet freedom. Where it sprang out of was the raid on the Pirate Bay servers. So essentially, it was about kind of protesting about crackdowns on internet freedom and also surveillance. So it's quite provocative. But we've always said that being a pirate is really about being independent and thinking differently. So what we've been saying to voters here in the UK is, if you want something different, you have to think different and vote different. And so that's really what we're about.
Now, we've talked a lot with other people that have come on about the move away from the Conservative and the Labour Party, but obviously you'd like them to move even further beyond UKIP, beyond the Greens, all the way to the Pirate Party. Do you think people are happier to change their votes now? Are we all thinking more freely? We're shopping in different places, we're marrying different people, we're choosing different religions. Do you think we're going to change our parties more than perhaps in the past?
Yeah, well, there's no denying it's very difficult in British politics at the moment, but also particularly because of the first past the post system. Really, although we're seeing that there is a squeeze back to the kind of the big parties, that's really not what voters want at the moment. But they're feeling that they're being scared into those kind of positions because they're either being told you have to keep Miliband out or you have to keep Cameron out. We can see also with the growth in the shares for the other smaller parties that something very different is happening. Obviously, the big story of this election is the SNP, and I've had activists from the SNP say, well, keep on plugging on, because even a year ago we would not have predicted the kind of potential that the party has now. So, but we're saying, but also if we want to break the mold of British politics, we need to be radical.
That's absolutely right, and we're going to have someone on after you talking about electoral reform. It's a subject very close to my heart as well. What's it like down at the count there? What's going on? What's the mood?
Well, it's quite subdued at the moment. Because it seems that Labour are doing very well. It's pretty much a stronghold for the Labour Party Manchester. Although there is the remaining Liberal Democrat MP John Leach in Manchester Withington, but I think the Liberal Democrats are hard pressed here. So I'll put it this way: I've had some conversations with some rather glum-looking Lib Dem activists this evening. So, but I think there's also just a bit of a shell shock here in terms of the exit poll. Because obviously that's not gone down with Labour activists here, but it's also feeling that it's a bit of a surprise given everything that both has been happening on the ground and what we were hearing throughout the campaign.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Well, who knows if the polls were wrong in leading up to the campaign, or whether it was just people making up their minds at the last minute. We do not know, but the results coming in now do suggest that the exit poll is pretty accurate. We just had one from Wrexham. I don't know if you're across that, but not a million miles away from Manchester there. Thank you very much. Good luck with the Pirate Party.
No worries.
Good luck tonight.
Good to speak to you.
Good to speak to you.
All right, bye for now.
Bye-bye. That's pretty cool, eh? That is cool. We're just using people's phones. We're just dialing in. We're getting it down the line. This Unelection is free. It's staffed by volunteers. We're shooting this through a £20 webcam. I bought some bananas. That's my contribution. And we're using a 4G dongle. And we're talking to people in Manchester. It's pretty cool. Big broadcasters, we're coming for you next time round. Maybe the one after that. But anyway, who have we got? Have we got
Will Brett?
Will Brett, my friend.
Hello.
Will, look at that! Look at that sculpted beard. What a nice looking beard that is. Will, can I see you? Have you got video on there?
Yeah, just trying. Is it not on?
No, it's not on.
We can hear you.
Here we go. It's coming on now. Look at that. Ooh, where are you? You look like you're somewhere very smart.
These are our Electoral Reform Society meeting rooms. Only the best for us, of course.
And is this, are you at the middle of a humming nerve centre of excitement about... in fact, I'm just going to tweet that you're on because this is very exciting for us too. But is it all kicking off in electoral reform? I see you've got 100,000 people who just signed your petition to bring about some kind of reform.
In fact, that petition was started by a teenager a few days ago on change.org. So that hasn't even had the mighty weight of the electoral reform movement behind it. And yet there he is with 100,000 people having signed his petition. It bodes well for the kind of support that we're going to have for electoral reform in the country. particularly after this election, which is going to be producing some really ridiculous results, as you know, Dan.
Okay, now listen, perhaps you can explain what the heck is going on in this country today. Have people stopped voting? Are people secretly voting Tory, leaving Labour? Are people staying at home? Are people UKippers taking vote? What is happening? I tried to explain it earlier, it made no sense. Luckily, I think our YouTube thing crashed off the air. But what is going on tonight?
I think what's happening is that people are voting in a way which is actually quite understandable, modern and normal, and very much the norm around the world in modern democracies, which is to vote for a number of different parties and not just the two big ones. But the problem is, because we have a system which is designed for two parties, there's no way of us really seeing what the hell's going on. So you see all these results, you see an exit poll saying one thing, previous polls saying something completely different, and it's because we can't take a measure of people voting for multiple parties because our first past the post system squeezes it into this two-party framework. And so the whole thing becomes almost random. We've been calling this a lottery election, and it's looking even more like that than we thought this evening. One of the things which I should say, I think everyone was expecting the results to be closer than it looks like it's going to be. And yet, even with that surprise, it's going to be almost certainly still a hung parliament. Now, that's 10 years of an inconclusive result, when the only thing which our electoral system is supposed to be good at is producing a conclusive result, and it looks like it's not going to happen again. So really, it is time to have fair, proportional voting system, and that's what we're making the case for tonight, tomorrow, and for time everlasting.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get a proportional system, and then you don't have to keep going, and you can find a different job. But
that'd be great. That'd be fine by me. Yeah.
So can you just give me an example in a constituency? Why does the Tory majority increase if more Liberals vote for UKIP? How does that work? How does that work? I don't understand. Just kind of give us a notional idea.
Yeah. So. It all depends on what's going on in any one particular constituency, and because particularly when you have two or three parties, or three or four parties competing in one constituency, and no one knowing quite who's going to come out on top, the result becomes very difficult to predict. Because obviously, when say Conservatives and Labour are competing in a constituency, and they're the only two parties who are likely to win, then even if you don't support the Labour Party, you know that even if you want to vote for the Liberal Democrats, and you know that Liberal Democrats can't win, you know that if you vote for the party that you least like between Conservatives and Labour, then that will have some kind of effect. That's tactical voting. But when you have three parties in contention, it becomes impossible to predict what the effect of your tactical vote is going to be. The whole thing becomes completely incomprehensible for the voter. All anyone really wants to do when they go to the ballot box is vote for the party or parties that they most like, and maybe rank the parties they like in order of preference. That's what people really want to do. They just want to express what they really like, and instead people have to try and think through this complicated game about who's going to win, how do you keep out the person you don't like, and so on. We just think that's crazy, and it's just not what democracy should be like.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, what happens now if the Conservatives have a minority government? But what if all the other parties gang up on them and defeat them? Is that likely to happen, do you think?
It doesn't look likely. If the exit poll is right, then it really looks like the Conservatives are the only party that can lead any kind of government. If the exit polls are right, and we do have to keep on repeating that. I think there's, I think one of the problems here is that we're just not used to this, right? So we've had it for 5 years. We've had a coalition, but generally, British politics is supposed to be all about single-party government, and that's because of our electoral system. The electoral system is supposed to produce single-party, strong government, and that's what people are used to, that's what the press are used to, that's what everyone is expecting. And so when it doesn't happen, people start to get a bit panicky. And actually, there's no real reason for that. There should be no problem with parties working together. The real problem comes when you get these skewed results from our first past the post system, and so that then when parties start negotiating with each other, so if the Conservatives are the biggest party, they're going to have to look to to the Liberal Democrats, possibly the Ulster Unionists in Ireland, to form a majority in Parliament. They're doing that on the basis of a set of results which don't really bear much relation to how people actually voted. And so the whole thing becomes a bit skewed. People start questioning the legitimacy of parties trying to work together. The press becomes febrile. The whole atmosphere becomes tense. Whereas in lots of other countries around the world where people are used to parties working together, it's all expected. We know this is going to happen. What's wrong with parties working together? What's wrong with politicians from different backgrounds getting together and working in the national interest? And that happens in lots of places which have proportional systems. And if you have a proportional system, then the whole thing becomes calmer. And parties go to the negotiating table. They still negotiate hard and they make compromise because that's what politics is about. But they do so on a fair and transparent basis, on the basis of how people have actually voted. And the whole thing is just works better. So we think that's what should happen.
Well, that's interesting stuff, Will. I'm sure you'll be up all night monitoring the results.
We will. Just to say, a stat that we have, a rolling stat that we have is the number of votes that are cast for losing candidates. So in other words, the people who have voted for someone who hasn't won. At the moment, even with all these safe seats coming in, 56% of the votes cast have been for losing candidates. So that's 56% of people who haven't voted for someone who's won. And we're talking about seats which have big majorities for the winners, because those are the ones that come in first. We expect that number to go up to something around 60% of people voting for losing candidates. That just starts to get across the scale of the problem with our system, I think.
Amazing. Well, that's very interesting stuff. I'm just looking at Twitter now. We've got all sorts of results coming in. There's a recount in Hartlepool between Labour and the UKIP. So it'll be interesting to see UKIP's first seat off Labour if that happens. So genuinely attracting voters from right across the board. Right. Thank you very much, all. Go, but get back to it and talk soon.
Will do. Thank you, Dan.
Bye-bye. Here we go. Well, guys, turnout's down. It's a very. I mean, he mentioned the expression lottery election there. It's going to be very interesting. On turnout's down. I always think what's never talked about in these elections is actually the absolute number of votes cast. It may be, you get a situation where the Conservatives get less votes than last time, but more seats. All sorts of weird combinations that could occur as the night goes on. So we're looking to get our next guest on the line now. Will Brett. Well, that was Will Brett, Electoral Reform Society. It's going to be a very, very important time for them. How are we looking, Nathan?
So we have Jonathan, a blogger from West Hampstead.
Look, everything's getting smaller here.
So I'm just going to make sure it's nice and loud. So this fits very well with what Will was saying about three-way marginals. How do you tactical vote?
Okay.
So, reporting from Hampstead and Kilburn, the closest three-way marginal in the country.
Jonathan, are you there?
I am, yes. I can only just hear you, but yes, I'm here.
I'll shout at the top of my voice, don't worry.
Excellent.
You are in a three-way marginal.
I think I was in a three-way marginal. I don't think anyone's thinking it's that now. 2010, yes. 2015, I think it's a two-way marginal.
What? Oh, because of the Liberal Democrats, have they collapsed in your seat?
They have, yeah. I think no one's expecting them to perform anything like as well as last time round. But currently, it's looking quite close between Labour and the Conservatives. The Conservatives are saying it's very close. Labour are saying they think they've got it. But I think it's going to be quite tight. We may be in recount territory yet again.
Well, it's interesting. We look like we've got to recount Hartlepool between Labour and UKIP, so that's going to be a very interesting one there. Are you staying up? Are you at the count, or where are you now?
I am. I'm standing outside the count at the moment, just in the freezing cold. But it's too noisy in there to do this. So yeah, I'm at the count. It's pretty buzzy. There's a lot of people here, a lot of interest because obviously Glenda Jackson's retiring. It's Frank Dobson's also. He's retiring from Holborn St Pancras, and Keir Starmer is expected to take that seat. So there's a lot of press attention here. So yeah, it's quite lively, I would say.
Well, that's good. I'm glad it's lively. We've had a few low-key people reporting in from some of the counts a bit low-key. I think some of the counts where it's a foregone conclusion probably a little quieter. It must be exciting where it's a marginal. I mean, do you feel lucky to live in a marginal? Because lots of us don't. I don't live in a close marginal. No, the Conservatives have won my seat since before the Second World War.
Good grief. No, it's well, I think for people who are maybe not naturally engaged in politics, it makes it easier for them to get engaged because their vote obviously matters. Labour are defending a 42-vote majority, so it's pretty easy to argue that every single vote does make a difference here. So I think, yeah, that makes it exciting. It means that you've got a lot of activity, there's a lot of campaigning going on, and we've had a good quality, good calibre of candidates. All the candidates have been, been good and performed well at hustings, and people have got interested in it, which is good.
So that's rare to hear someone say that. I'm glad you think they've been good calibre. That's great.
You've been seeing Majid Nawaz.
Yes, Hampstead is a good place to be if you want to remove your cynicism about politics.
Now you've got an interesting candidate there, Nawaz. He's been getting a lot of national attention. Have you come across him in your local activities?
Certainly have, yes. Yeah, I interviewed Majid a couple of weeks ago, published that yesterday on my website. Yeah, he's a very interesting character, much more high profile than the Lib Dems normally put forward. They're obviously big on local issues, and he's a big international guy. He's a former Islamic extremist who was imprisoned in Egypt for a few years, and then was released and came back to Britain, and now runs a counter-extremism think tank called Quilliam, which is the platform he has to his appearances on TV. And yeah, he stood for Lib Dems. I think it's an interesting decision for him to stand for them. He was always unlikely to win, given the Lib Dems kind of collapse nationally. But he's made it quite interesting as well. He's a very good speaker, so he's quite witty at the hustings. He's quite sharp. Interesting character. He's again made it a more exciting seat perhaps, and lots of attention on him from outside the constituency, perhaps more than inside, I would say.
Okay, well that's great. Thanks so much for dialing in. What's your prediction? Who do you think is going to win your seat?
I'm still calling it for Labour, but I think it is going to be pretty tight.
And do you think people are voting? Do you think roles like yours as a blogger, local blogger, people paying attention to that? Is it important, or is it still just people reading the national papers and watching the BBC and then just making up their minds?
It's a bit of both, right? I mean, I run a hustings for the candidates, and we had almost 200 people turn up. So plenty of people are engaging with the constituency through me and what I do, which is great. So I'd like to think, I hope that people are reading the stuff. But obviously, in their thousands and thousands, there's also plenty that's watching the BBC and making decisions about Ed versus Dave. So
interesting stuff. Well, thank you very much indeed. Good luck with the count, and stay in touch. Bye bye.
Good luck with the show. Bye.
Boom. Look at that. High tech. That's West Hampstead Life.
We've tweeted it.
We tweeted that. Follow him if you live in his constituency, or if you don't. Right, so.
Just interesting point there, I think, about voting for the party versus the candidate. So Majid was interesting because there was, Richard Dawkins said even if you don't vote Liberal Democrat, vote for Majid.
Yeah, Majid's been an interesting case because he is Majid Nawaz, as you just heard, the former Islamic extremist who now runs a think tank, and he's running for Liberal Democrats. It'd be interesting to see whether, in line with national expectations, the Liberal Democrats get wiped out in that seat, or whether he manages to buck the trend because of his own personal ratings, as it were. And that's always the big thing about British electoral nights. You never quite know. If some candidates got star qualities, they're able to stand against the tide. So you never quite know how it's going to go. But let's see. We've got a lot more results flooding in now. Let's see what the old...
Time to update, let's update our graphic. So the latest 9-3, you can see behind.
Latest 9
for
Labour, 3 to the Conservatives.
No changes.
No changes there. Now, the Conservatives have held Nuneaton. Now that is interesting. That does suggest that the exit poll was correct. So it looks like we are heading for a Conservative minority government.
So we've just let's play a little video from the democracy, I always forget their name, the Occupy Democracy. We're going to play a little video that our team took there just tonight.
Okay, we're going to play a video now that our team went down to Occupy, and they made a little video about them all down there. So let's see it now.
Yeah, how do you think it's gone today, and what do you think message you want to get out to people tomorrow to try and convince them to come down?
We're having a mass General Assembly tomorrow at 7 o'clock about what people want to see for the future. You can see some direct democracy here on the square. Obviously, people have seen, the main, in there in Westminster, we've got a corporate lobbying system worth £2 billion that's actually making a lot of people's votes irrelevant, and we want some genuine direct democracy and some proportional representation rather than this just disproportionate representation.
And what's your prediction for tonight?
Prediction for tonight? Well, how it's going to go?
Election, yeah.
Well, we're hoping for some kind of, dawning of rainbow politics where you have more consensus, more discussions, more cooperation amongst all the different groups. Hopefully we get some action on climate change and, the situations we need. We just have to see how it plays out. But, we need system change, not regime change. Whether it turns from red to blue curtains or whatever it is. The people who control things are the people who print the money and the bankers, and what we actually need is system change so it becomes a more fair, just, sustainable, proportionate, democratic system.
Good to remind me. What do you think of...
So Nuneaton's a big seat. Nuneaton's a big seat because that was meant to be a Labour gain. There was a good chance of Labour gain, and instead it was very, very strong Tory hold. So I think, to be honest, we could be creeping towards a Conservative majority. It is 1992 all over again. Absolutely fascinating. But with let's not forget, John Major after 1992 had a very, very painful 5 years dealing with his own backbench unrest, ripped apart by the issue of Europe. And will we see that again with the Conservatives? Who knows? It's going to be... Tonight's result has put us in for a very interesting 5 years, or very interesting short-term political outlook. We are trying to get Ben back, for our expert on Facebook, because you guys said he was very good. And we're going to look for him now.
Facebook, do you think people touted this as it was going to be the social media election? Has it been? Do you think social media?
People have said this is going to be. People have said this is going to be the social media election. I think for young people it certainly has been. Young people are definitely taking their news sources from elsewhere now. They're not listening to the newspapers or the main linear broadcasts, the BBC, the ITV and stuff. So I think young people, but I think but again, bear in mind the majority of voters are older people. They're far more likely to vote, and I think they are still using traditional sources to get their information from.
So let's assume that no one saw any of this. And
we're going to go Ben. Ben is... There we go. We're starting from scratch with Ben. Ben is an expert in Facebook. Let's see what he's got to say. Got to say nothing. He's hung up on us. He's got a very attractive bedroom, does our Ben.
Ben's in Edinburgh.
Ben is an academic.
Edinburgh is
academic at the University of
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Very few non-SNP seats.
No, it looks like to go SNP as well, but it voted overwhelmingly no in the referendum.
Ben if he has a theory. What do you think? What do you think this means for the union? If the SNP really have...
If the SNP...
let's look at that prediction again. 58.
If the SNP win 58 seats, then clearly they have a huge mandate in Scotland, albeit perhaps with only around 50% of the vote. But they'll have won nearly all the seats in Scotland. David Cameron will have virtually no seats in Scotland, very little support in Scotland, and he looks like he'll be the next Prime Minister. So there is some tense negotiating. Polls suggest the Scottish people don't want independence, but it looks like now they'll be able to go for full devolution, as much as sort of rebuilding a sort of federal state in the UK, and that's looks what they might push for. It becomes greatly complicated by the fact if the Brits vote to leave the EU, then Scotland will have a very good claim. Of course, if Scottish element of the UK does not want to stay in the EU, then they'll have a very good claim that they should have a second referendum. So we will see what's going on here.
But English voters are going to be... Oh, we've got Ben!
Emma Burnell
Hello.
Hey Ben, how's it going? Well, you're back.
Yeah, back again, dude.
Back again. We couldn't get enough of you, or you're back by popular demand. So just remind us what you've been doing and where you've been doing it.
Oh well, I've been looking at the ways that different parties engage with their fans on Facebook. So looking at 100 posts at the 7 main parties. We coded them for either being aggressive, where they kind of criticize others to make themselves look good, or assertive, where they try and just make themselves look good, so just show their policies, etc. And then we worked out which one of these gets the most likes and shares. And it seems that the traditional parties do the best of the aggressive posts, while the contender parties are doing the best of the assertive posts. And when I say that doing the best, that they're getting 50, 100% more shares and likes.
That's really interesting. So that tells you, well, it tells you so much. Oh, hello, we've lost you. Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Okay, we got you. Thank goodness, buddy. We like to see your face here. So that shows that shows people's voting. Well, people are attracted to the big parties if they're being tough and aggressive, but with the smaller parties, they like to see them being a bit plucky and boasting about themselves.
Exactly right, Dan. Exactly right. The big parties have got to be sort of like they do well from being kind of like aggressive dogs, but the smaller parties, the nicey approach seems to work, which is a bit counterintuitive at times.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely fascinating. So, has this been the Facebook election? Is how important has social media been, do you think, in this election? Are you able to in any way judge that? And has it decided people's votes at all, do you think?
Well, lots of people were referring to this election and the last American election as social media elections. It's difficult to say. Like of course, high levels of user engagement, sharing posts, retweeting, etc. Retweeting sort of political propaganda may have an effect on the way people may vote. But I'm a little bit cynical about it. That in the way that the parties they tweet and post mainly to people who are already their supporters. So it seems to be a little bit of preaching to the choir and patting each other on the back.
Yes, that's true. We live in the echo chamber, don't we? If your friends are from a certain political persuasion, you tend to get that all thrown back at you all the time, don't you?
Exactly, and it seems that lots of people are using the posts of the party they support to kind of just reaffirm their own beliefs.
Okay, so, well, and as we might be seeing in this election, some of the results coming in, there's very few marginals left. The Labour's winning its seats with big majorities, Conservatives are winning its seats with big majorities, but just perhaps it is the Facebook election, but we're only because we're surrounding ourselves with stuff we want to hear.
Exactly.
Well, that was very good. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming back on.
Millifandom. I want to ask about Millifandom.
Oh, Millifandom. Yeah, how did Millifandom go? Yeah, is that outside your field of study as an academic?
No, I've been following the Millifandom stuff. I really like it. It's good to see. Well, it's one of the cool things about social media is it kind of it levels the kind of traditional kind of like power asymmetry which exists between firms or politicians and the average, the normal public. Because before, you kind of these big entities were much louder, but now the public have a loud voice too, and this is through kind of collective activities. And Millifandom was one of them. If someone starts picking on someone or on one of your beliefs, then you can roll together in the public and create a hashtag.
Well, although it doesn't seem to have done Miliband much good tonight, but well, we'll see.
I blame the bacon sandwich.
Blame the bacon sandwich. That was a disaster. That was a game changer, as they say in America. Thanks very much, dude. Enjoy the night.
No worries. Thanks, Dan. Bye.
Bye. There you go. His job is analysing Facebook day in, day out. That's hardcore. What do we got, Nathan?
So, on the subject of was it a good night for Ed Miliband, we have someone from the Labour List blog.
We've got someone from the Labour List blog coming in now.
So, we will see...
who have we got?
Emma Burnell.
Emma Burnell. Let's get her up
She's the
here.
Labour list, actually. Scarlett. She'll tell you.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear us?
Yes, just about. I've got very loud people in the background, so if you hear them occasionally, that's who they are.
Don't worry about that. Can you turn your video on at all, or is it just going to be voice?
Oh God. Hang on.
Give
Laura,
it a go.
how's my hair? Yeah, they want me to do video. It looks fine. Hang on.
We can talk.
We can talk. Okay, we can talk. We don't have to.
Hang on. I'm doing it now. I'm just being groomed.
Oh yes, very nice.
Hello.
Hello. Now, tell us, who are you here with tonight?
I'm here with the Labour List team and a few of our fellow travellers, writers for us occasionally.
Right. Where are you based?
Well, we've actually moved into some offices in Westminster just for the week, just so we could be sort of close to everything. But usually we're based over in Old Street.
Okay, now Labour List. Tell me what's going on. What are you hearing? What are you hearing?
Well, I think we're hearing the same things that everybody else is hearing. Obviously, it doesn't look like it's going to be the night that Labour were hoping for. And we're now looking at individual interesting seats to see, where we can pick up, where we might lose unexpectedly, and see what's going to happen from here on in.
Great stuff. What? So you've given up hope that the exit poll might be wrong, do you think?
I think that the results that are coming in seem to be confirming what the exit poll has told us. Certainly the Nuneaton result was the one that everyone was looking to prove it wrong.
That was a huge result, wasn't it?
Sorry?
That was a huge result, wasn't it?
It was a huge result. It was a huge result for the Tories. It was a very poor result for us. And I think, that was quite clear that we were not in line for a good night.
And of course, the Labour Party in Scotland looks like it is having that bloodbath that was predicted.
Yes, absolutely. Scotland is terrible for us, and very, very serious lessons need to be learned across the country, and they may be different lessons across the country. So it's very, very important that whatever we do, whatever the end result of this night is, and we still haven't had more than 20 seats declared, I think. So there's still plenty of time to learn new lessons, but I think it's very, very important that we do take away lessons from this, and particularly in Scotland, that we understand where we went wrong and have the humility to learn.
Absolutely. Well, I imagine it's a pretty somber mood in there. What do you think? I mean, do you think that where do you think you did go wrong, then? Do you think it was Ed was too left wing, or was he painted too left wing, or do you think he didn't fight strong, articulate strong enough the kind of views that he does hold?
I think it's too early to tell you exactly what may or may not have gone wrong. It's still only 2 a.m. We still haven't had that many results, and we don't know. I mean, for example, there might be some very interesting results that tell us a little bit more. If, for example, we increase in seats where we've done different types of campaigning, if we increase in seats where there have been different types of messaging, then that's something we need to look at and learn from. I think, I don't know that I know yet what's gone wrong, and what I really think would be a mistake is for us to make an instant snap judgment about what it is, and then refuse to learn the longer, deeper, possibly more painful lessons.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
N for Ed Miliband.
Well, I'm sure you won't answer, but do you think it's the end for Ed Miliband? What do you reckon?
I'm not going to be the person at 2 a.m. who makes that decision. I'm not that senior in the Labour Party.
Okay. Well, thank you very much indeed. Talk to you soon. Good luck tonight.
Okay. Cheers. Bye.
Okay. Now, I need to go and stretch my legs a little bit, but somber mood there with the Labour activists. Looks like the exit poll's correct. Nuneaton was a big result. Tories took it with a good, strong majority, and it was predicted to go Labour. Fascinating stuff.
So we're going to play some comedy. We need some cheering up.
Now some comedy.
James Acaster. This is
even more comedy.
At the
Occupy.
Yeah.
James Acaster recorded at the Occupy camp. Here's some comedy from earlier tonight. Exclusive to Unelection.
You happy to take the hot seat for a bit?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Take the hot seat. Come and talk about it. Go for it. You were at.
I've just
So yeah,
I'll just lay this. So yeah, introduce yourself, Tom.
I'm Tom. Hello. We went down today, Pete and me, to go and see what was happening at Occupy. There was about 150 people there, and a little stage, and there were various comedians, and the mood was. It was a little bit deflated, I think. The exit poll rumours had started to come in, and I think the change that people were hoping for was starting to drift away. There started to be some potential talk about there maybe being a bit of a rebellion if Cameron looked like he was clinging on, and that maybe this occupation could grow and there would be, rising to the thousands. But it looks from the exit polls like it's not going to be close enough for that to really be an issue. But it's still too early to really decide. But yeah, there was a group of people who were interested in reform, and there was some good comedy, including from James Acaster. And if we hear from him now.
Everybody, someone, can you tickle some people, please, Adam? All right, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for another comedian? And please welcome to the stage the terrific James Acaster.
Hello, mate. Hello, everyone. I'm not actually a comic. I was asked, the comedian who's meant to be on now, he was all ready for the gig, and then he got a little bit freaked out by all the flags, and kind of went bananas. Tried to get on stage a little bit too early. We had to shoot away. We can only apologise. I've stepped in at the last minute. I'm going to try and learn stand-up as I go. You'll have to excuse me. The only reason I'm here is because this doesn't intimidate me. I can handle flags. That was all they needed. Someone who can look at a flag and not comment on them constantly. That was all it was. Unfortunately, I do get a bit freaked out by the sight of Big Ben, so this could go either way. I may flip out. Good to see you all. My name's James. I'm going to tell you about a friend of mine tonight. By the way, there's been a lot of political comedy on, rightfully so. That is why we're here. You would think that we've all been booked for that reason. Nope. I am pretty ill-informed and an idiot. So, there you go. Not really why have I been booked? Again, the flags. That is it. I haven't really got... That's what I did. I did a gig we did an E15 Mums gig, and I was, again, I'm an imposter at every single one of these that I do. I stand here in front of you guys this is really rich of me, to be standing up while you're sitting down. Every single one of you will have more important and insightful things to say than I do on a day such as today. Instead, I'm going to do some whimsical stand-up comedy about stuff that I made up, that isn't real. So let's do that and see how that goes. I'll tell you about a friend of mine. He works in a casino, and one day he is dice plural and dice singular, or is die plural? Anyway, he killed two people by mistake. They're both dice. They're both dice. I think they're both dice. I say he's my friend. He's not really my friend. I'm on the jury. I shouldn't say friend, should I? I shouldn't say friend. They made that very clear. He's not your friend. He's not your friend. The trial's actually over now, if I'm honest. It's over. I'm not allowed to talk about it in any environment still, let alone this is highly inappropriate. I'm not meant to be talking about it here, but I'm a comic. All I can do is talk about what's going on in my life. Plus, he's not gone away yet, by the way, if you're wondering. He hasn't actually left yet. Also, what is quite scary is I've looked over, he's got four mates and one of them's pointing at me, so that's not good. Go on, Orange Hat, you so far, here, I'm going to put this to you before I go to you. So far, nothing you've said has been of worth. Are you sure? Are you sure that you want me to ask you a question? You'll pass. That went as well as it could have. Couldn't have gone better, actually. Pretty happy with that. I'm kind of like, I find this whole thing, elections and stuff, is hard. Obviously it's difficult. We're all just making our best guess and like following our gut. I find it hard to know what I think about anything at all. I went to see The Theory of Everything earlier this year. I don't even know what I thought about it. I thought it should have been called Look Who's Hawking. That's my only clue. That's all I know. I don't know how you don't call it Look Who's Hawking. Opens it up to sequels. But I was watching it, the guy behind me, he hated it. Huh?
Tell everybody here what you told us. I'm sorry.
Dude, you were meant to be performing a minute ago.
Exactly.
You want to say you're sorry?
I want to say I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, you know, we forgive him, right?
I want to say something. I'm sorry. Please, may I just... No, come on.
People can hear you from there, mate.
Please,
No, we forgive you, we forgive you.
So Section 5 public order. You are not dressed as the voice of reason in this.
One thing. There's one thing I could say. One thing. May I?
I can hear you now. Go for it.
One Direction. I love you. One love.
Love you too, mate.
There's some people who don't like us.
Okay.
Let alone love. I love you. Wait, listen, brother. Tell them what you just told me in about 3 episodes. Tell us what you just told. Tell them what you told us over there. Carry on, bro. Can I say it? May I say it? Yeah, go on. May I say it? Tell them what you just. May I
Keep talking.
There's some people who don't like us.
You didn't see what I just saw. You walked up to me there and went, keep talking, and that was the scariest thing in the world. Keep talking, mate. Otherwise I'll torch this place to the ground. I mean, I know that I should have actually kept talking then, but all I did was go, this is much better than anything I've got to say. I mean, I would rather see that, personally. I want to miss so many stops. I want it to keep coming back. I want to see it forever. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, what I'm scared of is going to burst through that curtain and knife me. That's all I'm scared of. I don't think this is a safe environment for me. I'm a fragile little boy. I'm not someone who's cut out for this life. I just came in to educate myself. Oh God, that was you again. Don't approach the stage that quickly, man. It's too much for me. It's too much. Jesus Christ. Oh God, it wasn't like this at E15 mums, they were nice. E15 mums, no one was going, there's no flags, that was the thing. No flag at E15. If E15 mums was flagless and calm. That's what the problem is. Maybe we'd find that out. Imagine if that's the secret to all the world's problems, is that all the countries just need to give up their flags and they would all calm down. I think, you've all gone quiet, which makes me think he's right behind me. Don't do that. Either he was there, or you were going, that's a good idea. I wish I'd voted for this guy while I had the chance. You could all have voted for me. But your chance is gone now. That'd be quite good. I'd like to do that next year. I might run. Huh? 5 years? I don't know, mate. I said next year, didn't I? I'm on the spot. I do know it's 5 years. I want to point out I'm not that stupid. I do know it's 5 years. I was doing some stuff about the theory of everything before. Do you remember when that guy ambushed it? Do you remember that? Talking about that. I'll tell you about a guy that I don't like. He's in my book club. His name's Lucas, and I hate him. He thinks he's better than everyone else. He thinks he's better than me just because he's my age and he's got kids. I don't care. I don't feel inadequate if someone's my age and they've got kids. Only time I feel inadequate is if I'm sat in the back of their car and they have to open the door for me because it's child locked. Sit more like a baby, like a little baby just looking out through the window. And then when they open the door, just to complete the whole thing, I insist they unbuckle me. I even make it difficult like a kid would. Just put... He thinks he's better than everyone else. You can tell he thinks he's better than everyone else by the way he wears his jumper. Same way that everyone who thinks they're better than everyone else wears their jumper. He takes it off, he drapes it over his shoulders, with his sleeves tied around his chest and the rest of it like a cape at the back. Anyone who wears their jumper like that has never done a good deed for another human being ever. They're awful people. If you wear your jumper normal, arms through the sleeve, head popping out the top, still be a nice person. As soon as you drape it over your shoulders like that, you're sending out a very clear message. I come from money, I'm doing all right for myself, and I don't even need this jumper. Hate him. He walks around with his jumper shoulders on, just telling everybody what he thinks of them to their faces. One of those people, an adult who bullies people, and then justifies it by going, that's just me, I just speak my mind, that's just who I am, you've got to take it or leave it, that's just who I am. I just tell people what I think of them. What are you doing that for, mate? Who gave you that job? Just think it in your head like the rest of us. You're not the only person who hates everyone. We all hate everyone, but don't go and tell them to their faces because I'm probably wrong. Yeah, what I do when I hate someone? I find someone else who also hates them, then we go off in a private room, slag them off behind their back like nice people. Where's your compassion? He's the worst, and I do not say that lightly. There's over 7 billion people in the world, he's my best guess for the worst. We all know someone's the worst, you forget that, don't you? Someone's the worst. Out of everyone in the whole world, somebody is the worst one. Out of all of us, someone's the worst, and they don't even know it. They don't even know it. They're the worst. Maybe sometimes they get an inkling they're in the bottom 50. No one knows who the worst is. I mean, it's definitely a man, no one's going to argue that. There's no way it's not a man. I think our track record speaks for itself, gentlemen, we're the worst. That's why you hear things like, you should help an old lady cross the road. That's a nice thing to do. It's never help an old man across the road, because the older men get, the more fucked up shit they've done to people, they don't deserve it. If an old man came up to me and was like, "You help me cross the road, please?" I'd be like, "What you got planned on the other side, you piece of work?" But you cross enough roads in one lifetime, pal, stay in your house. Someone's the worst, someone's the best, and I don't even know. That's tragic. They have not even to prove it. They're walking around, no certificate or trophy, just empty-handed, still queuing for stuff and paying for things, every now and again just thinking in the back of their mind, I think I might be the best. And that's what they announce it. You have to wait until someone else goes, "Cheers, mate, you're the best." And then they have to be all humble and deny it, while thinking in their head, "I knew it. Always knew." How long have I done? I don't even know how long I've done. Oh,
hello?
The amount of time I was meant to do. I better go. You guys have been lovely. Enjoy the flight.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello.
Douglas Alexander.
Okay, okay. We seem to